Fighting formations, Deutschland Infantry Division. Everybody here is fairly familiar with board games, so I'm going to cover what's different about the game. The main item that is different is all on this board here, the order matrix and the initiative system. We're all set up to play the same scenario 0, the beginning scenario. The initiative track in this case starts at 1 on the Soviet side.
Yes.
What this is going to mean is as you take different orders, you're going to move the initiative pawn to the opposite side, the number of points equal to the value for the order. You'll see the order values are different for the different sides. Soviets and the Germans have different abilities to they're more efficient at certain actions. The Soviets are more geared towards moving, whereas the Germans are geared more towards firing.
What's this symbol here?
That means it's a reminder of radialist tanks for the Soviets.
Your T-34.
And what is this then up here?
Same.
Oh, come on.
It is 2 times the initiative cost to activate the unit. Now, if you have, for instance, mission command, 2 times 0 is 0.
I know.
So it's
No
still
tough
4.
questions.
So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, so it's just a multiplier of 2.
So the way it works
On
is
On the radialist
On the
units,
T-34s.
they're marked with an R on the counter also.
For radio.
Yeah. So the turns are going to continue until all the order cubes are used. In this case, because the initiative marker is on the Soviet side, the Soviets are going to take the first order. They will choose any one of these cubes that is available and move it to the used order box. In this case, I've taken the number 6. What this means is by taking that, I'm moving this pawn 6 spaces to the opposite side, so from 1 on me to 5 on the Germans. And I can take any action at that level or below on my side of the order track. The reason that you may want to go below that is on new turns, these are going to get randomly put back into place. There's not going to always be one of each there. Additionally, you can use this to sort of deprive your opponent of what you don't want them to do. In this case, the top 3 are the same for both sides. They are assets. This is getting Army support for air support, mortars, artillery, and reinforcements. Because there's only one ability that lets you draw 3, if I take this, I'm depriving him of ever getting that ability for this turn. And as it goes on down the track, those opportunities become more relevant, where in this case we're halfway through the turn. Now if I take this, I'm depriving him of the ability to advance. He will never be able to advance until next turn. So there are reasons why you might take a cube and use the option that costs less. One thing to remember is your initiative moves according to the cube you take, not the action you take. So if I take a 7 cube but only do the fire action, it's still going to move 7, not 3, because that's the cube I took. When you take a cube, you move the initiative track, you will now activate any units that you want to take this order. By activating them, you're going to flip them over to the side with the white stripe. Vehicles do have a facing, that's why they have rectangular counters. Flip them to be activated. You'll move your order cube, move the initiative track, activate all the units that you want to take that action with before you actually carry out the action with any of them.
So when do you drop the command radius marker down?
Now would be a good time.
Do you have to use that there?
You may drop a command counter onto the board at any time and in any location. It does not have to be your turn, your activation. You can be in the middle of an action, your opponent can be in the middle of an action. It's absolutely any time you want to, you can drop it anywhere on the board that you wish.
And the command radius varies from scenario to scenario, which is marked on here. In this scenario, the Russians have a command radius of 2, and the Germans have a command radius of 3. The command radius is this area around right here.
So that's not a good spot to put your command
No.
radius.
So this is going to represent the focus of command. For the remainder of this turn, it's going to be on mission command, which is this side. At the end of the turn, as part of the maintenance of cleaning up, it will get flipped to the tactical command. It will stay in the same location.
Which now costs you 1.
Yes, the number 0 or 1 is an additional cost for every unit you activate under that order. So in this case, I'm putting down mission command. This is 0. I can activate as many units within command radius for no additional cost. If I want to activate this guy for this same order, he is out of command. It's going to cost me 2 additional initiative. So in this case, I've already paid 7 for my order. I'm going to have to pay another 2 in order to activate him. You may never do an action that takes you below 20 to your opponent's side. The reasoning of having to balance this is, in this case, if I do too many activations and I put him at, say, 13, he now has the potential to take 5, maybe even 6 actions, smaller actions, before it swings back to my side of the track, and I do not get to take an action in that time.
Until after it crosses the 0. And then another thing, whoever has the initiative card, if the initiative track lands on 0, wins the initiative there and would be able to play.
You
Yes.
are still able to opportunity fire or return fire,
Right.
even if it's on the pawn is on their side. So you're never at a loss completely. You just won't be able to give an order command without the initiative.
Correct. In this scenario, the Germans do begin with the fate card, which is the tiebreaker for initiative and for end of game victory points. That's the tiebreaker as well. This card also allows you to force a reroll by handing it to your opponent. You can reroll your own dice or force your opponent to reroll his by handing him the card. In this case, a lot of times you're rolling 2 dice at a time. It's a reroll not of 1 die, but a 1 die roll. So if you're rolling 2 dice, this card allows you to, or forces your opponent to roll both.
And that can go back and forth as many
Yes.
times. There's no limit. So if you don't like it, you give them the fake card, they re-roll. They don't like it, they give it back to you, and it just goes back and forth until someone decides, I like that roll.
Okay.
You want to talk about the chits and the movements and stuff? or-
Yeah, the different orders.
So in order for you to get orders to these guys, you'd want to put this in the most opportune spot, which would be 2 away from everybody.
Yes.
And you would have a nice command radius that way, right?
Any unit may pick this up and drop it off at any point during its movement. You cannot freely move it on your own, but if a unit moves through here, you can pick it up, carry it with them, and drop it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So really, it's like a headquarters piece.
Yes. Or a forward observer, some sort of
Well,
intelligence.
there's a guy
Yeah.
who's in command.
And one thing that's interesting, as he was talking about earlier, at the end of the turn, this will flip over to a 1. Then you've got this other one here that's worth 0. So that can come back onto the board and activate another area of the board at 0, or even this same area at 0. And this can be at 1. So if you use that 0 command radius, there's no cost there. But on the third turn, what happens is both the 1 at 1 will return back to a holding area, which is called the pending command, and then the 1 on the board, the 0 will flip to a 1. Then you have nothing that costs you 0. So that third turn is when things really change as far as the cost of the initiative.
In that case, you also would not have the ability to drop command in a new location as well.
Okay.
So there's
How many commands can you drop in a turn?
no limit.
As many as you want.
So I could drop both of those down.
But you will suffer.
Oh, I will suffer.
If you
will
do it
suffer.
early, yeah.
Turn 3, you'll have no
No command at all.
Gets
Yeah.
captured.
That's not
Yes.
that's not
Yes.
entirely true, because there is a card, there is an asset card that allows you to flip a command. So it's possible.
One of these.
Yeah, one of these asset
likely.
cards. It's possible to draw that card and then flip yours or your opponent, so you can kind of force his free one to go to a 1, and then at the end of the turn, it's gone.
Oh, okay.
And as Jim said, if this is ever in an unoccupied hex and an enemy enters that hex, they capture it, it's removed from the game permanently.
Is that right?
It's massive. Yes.
That's bad.
There
What
are,
happens if he
there
gets
are
attacked
sniper
and-
events that can also take away your command.
Now, what happens if you're attacked with it at the hex where
It's only
It loses.
only if it's in a hex with the enemy and no
Yeah.
friendly, correct?
Right. Kind of like lock and load, where your leader's left alone, he's gone. If there's
Yeah.
no one, if
right?
there's no melee
Same
eligible.
thing. Okay, same thing. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that wraps it up for the overall.
Well, that's the game.
We'll
Well, it
go
was
to
great talking
the
you.
one thing that is kind of unique about this. There are different stats on each counter on each side.
I was going to ask you about that.
Lower.